What's going on? It's another episode of the 206 Curve podcast. I'm your host Carson with Avery. Avery, how we doing?
Doing fantastic. I had a long day of work, but I didn't have to do much at work. I did watch the Tokyo game on the clock, which was pretty sick.
Tokyo game on the clock, so you were there at 3 in the morning, or were you just rewatching the whole game?
I recorded it. I made sure I didn't see any spoilers when I woke up. I walked into work. Boss was like, "Got nothing for you right now," and I was like, "Sweet." And then I just sat there and watched the game, the
Wow.
entire game.
The entire game, so not that, because I pulled up highlights on my lunch. I did
Mm.
know the score, but I didn't know how it got there. Yeah, so let's break it down. The Tokyo series, Dodgers and Cubs in Japan, opening the year up. I kind of like that the MLB does these international opening games. I mean, the Mariners did it back in 2019, facing the Athletics in Japan for Ichiro's send-off. But I think if you're gonna do an international series, you kind of have to do it in the beginning of the year. I know they did London like middle of the year. I think they're still doing that. Maybe, I don't know if they're doing it this year, but they've been doing it maybe every other year. But I like it. I mean, Tokyo is a hell of a city. It's a great baseball culture. And I mean, as far as the first game goes, really just pitching and defense. Yamamoto, Imanaga on the mound. Imanaga just couldn't find the strike zone really. Four walks in 4 innings. So I think that limited his outing a little bit. And then they put in their long guy who kind of got shelled a little bit, just base hit after base hit. And that just kind of led to, this is how the Dodgers win baseball games. They just compound singles, doubles. They play real baseball. It's not just the long ball. So yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts taken away from the first game of the MLB season?
Um, it was a lot of fun to watch. Ben Brown did just get demolished, which was tough. I like Ben Brown,
Yep.
but it was a great game. It's one of my dreams now to go to Japan and watch a pro game. I want to go for the playoffs. Um, I want to watch. I don't care who. Oryx Blue Wave, wear my
Right.
Ichiro jersey
Right.
of the Oryx Blue Wave. I don't know. I don't care. I just want to be in that environment because it's got to be better than any
For
major
sure.
league environment that exists.
For sure. And the Korean Baseball League kind of took precedent over the pandemic. They seem like they have a lot of fun over there too. So it's awesome to see the game that we love in different countries, especially when the World Baseball Classic comes up. It's just awesome. I feel like outside
Hmm.
of soccer, no other sport really has that. I think basketball tries, but I don't think it really reaches a lot. So who you got for game two? I mean, I know you're not staying up for it, but do you think the Cubs bounce back here in Roki Sasaki's debut? Or do you think that Justin Steele will pound the mound and get this one done?
Justin Steele's kind of underrated. He's actually like phenomenal at
Wait, hold
throwing a
on, time out.
baseball.
I just realized that I gave you the same alternative. I said, do you think the Cubs will bounce back, or do you think Justin Steele will lead the Cubs to the victory?
Oh,
But you know what I meant. Okay, so continue. I just wanted to point that out.
I completely missed that. I still think Justin Steele's underrated. Um, the Dodgers are just too good. I know they're missing. They're not gonna have Freddie or Mookie again, but I mean, Otani's definitely gonna go yard, right? Like he hit the ball hard like three
Couple
times
times.
today.
Yep.
He just didn't get it elevated. Um, I don't know. The Cubs are super fun. I like their team a lot. I just have a feeling that I don't know. I mean, it is Roki's debut, but he is pitching essentially at home.
Right.
So
So we'll see how he does.
it
I
could
don't know.
go either way. I mean, it's baseball.
Right.
The Cubs could win 10-0, the Dodgers could win 10-0, but I think it's what I know for sure is that it's going to be a fun baseball game.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I'm excited to see how Roki translates against an MLB lineup. I feel like watching at least the highlights a little bit, I feel like the fans were teased with a lot of deep flyouts. They're like, oh, and then just right at the wall. And there's
Hmm.
some good athletic plays out there from Hap Daddy and things like that. Okay, now we're shifting gears. We're coming back to the States because we are 10 days away from Mariners opening day at T-Mobile Park. Not a sellout yet. I don't think it's gonna get there, unfortunately, based on
I
just the
haven't bought my tickets yet.
Well, you're not the
They
only
haven't
people.
factored me in.
Yeah, they haven't factored you in, but they have roped off the right field bleachers like they always do. And it's
Mm.
like, make that accessible. They know it's not going to be a sellout. And I'm like, I mean, it has been a sellout in years past. I think the fans is just kind of a middle finger to the ownership. But personally, if I could be there, I would. Life just gets too busy. I thought about going for the opening series, but life comes up and I'm supporting them from afar. Yeah, so we got 9 more days until we're back in Seattle. We have some important updates to give you. My heart broke earlier this weekend when Ben Williamson and Cole Young were reassigned to minor league camp. Obviously, the signs have shown that they are just not there. They couldn't seize the opportunity of extended playing time in spring. Not saying they weren't good, they just weren't translating to jump guys that were kind of quadruple A players or even starters, bench players on our team. Let's take a look. So, other than that, Dan Wilson kind of ho hum on who the starting second baseman is going to be. A lot of people think Ryan Bliss. A lot of people are on the Miles Mastroboni train, not for starter, but just on the bench. And we just now really have to figure out who's going to be on the bench. And first time on the pod, we're proven wrong. Casey Legamina will be in the bullpen. It looks like he will be that last spot, even though Avery
What did I
hates
say?
Bro. He hates Bro. He,
I, s-
you
I
said
said that
no. You
he's
said
going to be
Legamina
on the
no.
team.
You said Legamina no. You didn't like his
I,
stuff,
I didn't
and
say that I liked him. I just said that he's going to be a guy that's fine and that is going to be pitching for us at some point this year. Opening day, I wasn't ready for it, but
but here we
I,
are.
if you go back and listen, I think I can take a victory lap on that one.
There. Okay. Well, I think we were ho hum on him, and he is now the guy for mop up sixth inning with Bizardo. So let's talk about how the bench is going to round out. So obviously, you're going to have Dylan Moore or Ryan Bliss. Think about how many spots do you get? You get 13 position players, 13 pitchers, so that leaves you with 4 spots on the bench. You obviously got Dylan Moore or Ryan Bliss. You got a backup catcher of some sort, I would assume, right? Or it would be Mitch Garver. And then you got 2 spots there. One would maybe think Canzone has been kind of slugging his way into the spring. He's been hitting well. A lot of people on Mariners Twitter are very high on Miles Mastroboni because he's hitting like 400 in the spring. I take that with a grain of salt because I know spring training pitching, and I just don't really see how he fits. But I think the underlying factor is Mitch Haniger. Okay. We all have opinions about him. I guess let's start with your opinion and we'll kind of transition to mine.
He is a guy that plays baseball still. I
Right.
love him. I love him as a person. What he did for us after we traded for him and what happened in 2021. One of the happiest moments of my life was that game 161 when he hit that single. Oh my God, I was screaming and yelling downstairs all alone. My mom and her boyfriend were upstairs and I didn't care. I was so loud. Gosh, love that guy. Will always have a soft spot in my heart for him. 2025 though, I'm not he can be our backup weak-sided platoon DH. I'm fine with that. But he's making so much money. But it doesn't really matter the money, whether he's on the roster or not. Like we're
Mhm.
paying him that anyway. Uh, Fortunately for him, it's not like there's a crazy amount of guys like really beating the door down to be like a DH bench player,
All right. No, for
which is crazy. He's a DH bench player. Like that's what Mitch
I mean,
Haniger
I
is.
think he could still play right field. I mean, it's in
Like
a
not
pinch.
well.
But I mean, yeah, but it's not like he's regressed that much. You could even put him in left if you really felt like it. But I mean, his days of being a center fielder are definitely over. If they or were ever. I mean, I'm sure we've played Haniger in center a handful of times, but I want to bring up an important point. I mean, that you brought up. I want to piggyback off of it. His salary, $17.5 million. It's a player option. He took it. Duh. Anybody would in his situation. And you said it yourself. You like him as a guy. you like him as a person, you like him, and for me, that I agree with you. And I think, in the clubhouse, look, this guy has been the longest tenured Mariner next to JP Crawford. I mean, he had a little break in San Fran for a year, but now he's back. He knows the foundational culture. And I'm not here saying that he needs to be the DH. I'm not saying that he needs to be in a rotational thing. But when you put it into perspective of what role he really has on the team, he's the last bench guy. He's the last guy off the bench. Okay, how many opportunities is Mitch Haniger going to get on that bench pending any injury, right? Everyone's saying, oh, we got to get Miles Mastroboni in there. He's hitting so well. Miles Mastroboni would probably play three of the first 20 games in that role. So for me, we already committed the money to him. It kind of hemorrhaged our free agency. We need to just see what we got because I am not in favor of just DFAing, bro, and seeing him play and on a bench somewhere else. We're paying someone to compete against us. I don't care if it's, in the National League or what. Part of our free agency, unfortunately, went to him. It went to trading for him to dump that Robbie Ray salary. So I really think he has a spot in this team just as kind of a wisdom role. I mean, if everyone wanted to bring back Justin Turner, for Christ's sake. I mean, I think he's basically the same guy. I mean, he's clutch when we need him sometimes. He's got that clutch factor. He's old, he's unk, and he can provide some wisdom to this young core. I mean, I mean, am I wrong?
He's a great leader, a great team guy. I'm happy that we're paying 18 million or however many $1 million to for our last bench player being the team,
But it's baseball, like you
heartbeat.
said. Like you said, the money
It
doesn't matter.
worked. It's worked. Yeah, it's worked. Yeah, it
It
matters for
matters.
four
Yeah.
teams.
Right. No.
Um, I,
Yeah.
I'm interested. I did say earlier, like, who else? I might just take the stance, like, I don't care, just get him off the team. I, I,
Stop.
the only saving grace is that he would like his spot, whether you give it to one of these younger guys or whatever, like they wouldn't have all that many opportunities at the major league level, at least the
Exactly.
first month of the season. So that's the only reason why I'm like okay, but like who's on our bench? Like
We got
who's
We got Dylan Moore or Ryan Bliss. We got a backup catcher of some sort. I guess it would be Garver. And that's assuming, which we'll talk about, who's going to fill that DH role if Garver's not there and he's healthy or whatever. You got Haniger. And then who else you got? Or, well, you're thinking maybe Dom Canzone because of how he's swinging the bat, but you could put that and just say Miles Mastroboni. It's really just Dan Wilson's pick on who can fit there. And you also got to factor in maybe Donovan Solano or Polanco because I don't see them both in the same field unless you put Solano as the left-handed second baseman platoon. God, it's a platoon nightmare. We're in platoon purgatory. That is the title of this episode. Plundering
I
platoon purgatory. That's it.
the name I know the names that you said like so Mitch Haniger is having a rough spring, right?
Right. He is
His
hurt.
OPS,
He
his
is hurt.
OPS, grant he's only had 18 ABs.
Right.
His OPS though is higher than Dom Canzone's. I know you said he's swinging the bat. He's not. I don't think he's swinging the bat right now. He's he's been struggling this spring training. He
Are we
did hit
sure
that
about
one
that?
home
Well,
run,
I
which
mean,
is
what's his
pretty
stats
sick.
though? Because I'm just hearing vibes, and I might not.
216 average for Dom Canzone, 256 on base, 378 slugging. So one home run, three RBIs, a walk, five Ks, and 37 at bats.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's those guys are clearing the likes of Dylan Moore. Uh,
I Yeah, some guys just start slow. I mean, and the thing about Haniger too, to mitigate the situation temporarily, you could just put him on the 14 or 10-day IL because he is dealing with a couple, just a sore back or something like that. So I think that you could put him on the IL and really just like test and see maybe okay to have a young guy on the bench, maybe like I can zone Mascheroni like everybody wants. and be like, okay, this ain't working. Or yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't think Mitch Haniger is going to accept being a Tacoma Rainier, and I don't think he really, I don't really want him to be. He deserves to be on a major league bench. I just wanted to, if it could be ours, great. If not, it's going to be really hard for me to eat that salary. But it is what it is.
It's like what it's like the sunk cost fallacy though. Like you've invested so much, so you have to stick with it, even though it's actively hurting the team. Like
But yes,
I,
yes.
but that you could say. I mean, everyone that's projected to be on our bench is not playing good at all. I don't know how you want to read that. Whether it's like, oh no, it's spring training, even though you said at the beginning of the show, like, oh, pitching, it's so easy to hit in spring training. But do you want to? I Our two best OPSs for the spring this year for guys that have 15 or more at bats are catchers. Blake Hunt and Harry Ford
I'm
are killing
curious,
it.
man. I'm curious. Harry Ford is a curious option for me because you know how I feel about Harry Ford. I feel like he's positionless. I think he is getting older as a prospect, and that is kind of suicide for a prospect when you're getting older. You're kind of complacent in the same area. Harry Ford to me is an interesting one because he's played left field about 5 games in Arkansas. He's played a backup catcher. So maybe he can just be in that role and be like, listen, I have an outfield mitt. I have a catcher's mitt. Put me wherever you want, Dan. I like it. I do like it. He's been hitting very well. OPS is very obviously, but also Blake Hunt. I mean, Blake Hunt is a true catcher. And he is right there. I mean, the Mariners reacquired him this offseason, but we got to shift our focus to a big problem. And the big problem is Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy
Yeah.
Tellez, big. He's got a big swing. He's been doing well this
He's
spring.
not a problem.
He's not. Well, here's the problem, though. The problem is, are we seriously going to do the Rowdy Tellez experiment? Was he really that the first
Yes.
baseman platoon? Okay, so you're thinking we're telling him he's on the roster. He's going to be our right-handed first baseman, and he's going to. Well, he's not right-handed. He's
No, he's a
left-handed.
lefty. No, he might be overtaking the Austin Shenton DH idea. I mean, he's definitely. I think I like Austin Shenton more than the front office does. I think they just want whoever's going to be playing the best. Rowdy Tellez. I mean, granted, Shenton has been having a good spring, like a really good spring, but
Mm,
Rowdy Tellez has been having a better spring. And he's got the experience. He's had success at the major league level. Unfortunately,
absolutely.
you can't say that for Shenton. He hasn't been given the opportunity to
Mhm,
have that success. But
mhm.
I'm, you gotta have the guys that are hitting. I think Rowdy Tellez is just on the team to hit,
Right.
and the reason why we brought him in is like, hey, maybe you'll have a really good spring. And well,
He
now
did.
he is.
It's just kind of strange to me. I mean, no disrespect to Rowdy Tellez, and if he's on the team, looks like he will be. It's just interesting to me because we followed the whole offseason. It's just nothing, nothing, nothing. And then right before spring training, we get a freaking quadruple XL jersey and toss Tellez on the back of it. And it's like, here you go, man. And he absolutely tears into spring. It's a nuke in his first game. Yeah, I mean, I like it. It kind of sucks to me because, like you said with Shenton, I'm a big Locklear guy. I'm a big Locklear guy as much as you're a Shenton guy. So it's like, damn, to see him kind of regress and go into AAA. I just really
Yeah,
hope
he's
that's
been.
not it. That being said, I mean, is Rowdy Tellez going to be our opening day DH against Luis Severino?
If it's not Shenton, I hope it's Tellez, and if it's not Tellez, I hope it's Shenton. Not neither. I can guarantee you this: it's not going to be both of them on the roster. It's going to be one or the other.
Right,
And I'd imagine they'll just go for the older guy who's had a
right,
track record.
right.
So,
Well, they're
and then
both
if he
they're both
fails, Shenton could come up.
right. And then I think we can apply that logic to Blake Hunt, Harry Ford. Do you want to start going young, or do you want to just do Blake Hunt for the third catcher? I cannot wait till we stop carrying the three catchers. I think Mitch Garver as a DH was a disaster. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to realize if our primary DH is going to be Mitch Garver, we don't have a catcher on the bench. We even once had to hit with Luis Castillo last year because we had to pull the DH. How did they not anticipate that? But hey, listen, I'm tired of the three catchers. Unless the MLB will just let us have like an emergency quarterback like the NFL does. I hate carrying three catchers, man.
I think
It's
they
a
do. I
waste.
think they let you. I think they might let you put in the bullpen catcher. There's a. I don't know
I
what
hope we don't have to put
scenario.
in Fleming Baez, man. Are we gonna really say Fleming Baez is gonna be hitting?
No.
Okay,
I
moving.
I to stick with the that catcher thing. I do like the idea of opening up that last bench spot, and just by having Mitch Garver be the backup catcher like we did last year. But at the same time, I don't want Mitch Garver to do anything but DH. So
Well, I think Garver catches Kirby. So, and I'm fine with Garver catching one of our
he
five
is
guys.
weak side platoon, so he wouldn't get that many DH days anyway. So yeah, he could be the backup catcher. I could talk myself into that, and then just
I want him
DH
to
against
play more.
lefties.
I do want him to play frequently because I think that he was hitting well before his injury, before his hand injury, and I think I want to see. We needed to give him a consistency because I think what messed up is he got hurt in the very start of last year, and we just could not get him in a rhythm. I want to start him for 20 straight games, and I'm gonna be DH,
What?
backup catcher. I just want to slot him in
Well,
there.
then what's the point of having Shenton or Tellez on the roster? Like,
It's just because we're gonna have that extra spot anyway. I don't know. We're gonna have to rotate the H's anyway. I'm just saying that I want Garver to have some consistent time. I think that that's just what I want. But like I said, I
uh,
could
i-
just
if
as
he
you were
could
saying.
hit righties, maybe. Like, if he can somehow, if he
Yeah.
could go back to that, you know, every other
Well,
year sort of thing, then sure.
that's why you have Rowdy.
But if it's last year, well, but if it's last year, where it's only he has only success against lefties, then then he's only gonna play in like 90 games or whatever, 100 games.
We shall see. We shall see. Okay, let's shift gears to our Trident Trio segment. So recently in the news, we've seen a couple of things. We've seen the Las Vegas renderings for their stadium again. I think the stadium is badass. We've seen the Rays kind of talk back about, hey, we're not going to build a new stadium. We're going to commit to the Trop. Dumb as hell. And then we're gonna also look toward some potential new teams. The Nashville Stars struck a deal with New Era and was able to release an official cap with an unofficial logo. I don't know how that happens in the world of trademark law, but that's pretty cool. And Portland also says, hey, we have stadium renderings of an arena, field on the water. San Francisco Giants. I think that's a terrible idea because one, you put a team in Portland and it takes away from our fan base. Two, a waterfront stadium in Oregon where it rains all the time. You need to have a roof. A roof is a prerequisite. I think the MLB should tell them that. But other news, micro news in Oregon, the Northwest League team, the Eugene Emeralds, said that they couldn't find an agreement to update their stadium to MILB standards. So they're going to be cooperating with the University of Oregon for next year, but after that, they're going to have to look for a new home. So our Trident Trio segment is expansion locations. Our first round will be realistic, where you could see the MLB expanding because we do think it's going to be coming in the next half decade. And then our second prong of the Trident is going to be a dreamer, which who we have on our wish list. And then our last prong is going to be somewhere where you think a minor league team should go. Where should the Eugene Emeralds go? All right, Avery, let's start off. What's your realistic expansion location?
This is kind of realistic. It's just like a half realistic, half dreamer. But we'll start out by saying that the airplane was invented in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, which is 371 miles away from Charlotte, where this expansion team will be playing in.
Taking the Charlotte Knights
Famously,
out of, so the AAA team for Chicago, take them out of Charlotte,
they could exist. We'll move them to
coexist.
Kitty Hawk. We'll move them to Kitty Hawk.
Okay, okay.
And we will name them as a big FU to Bud Selig. We will name them the Pilots. We will bring back the Pilots. The Charlotte Pilots will be the 31st team in the MLB, and I will be a day one fan. I will buy all of
He'll
their
leave the
merch.
podcast and do a Charlotte Pilots podcast.
Yeah, I will. I created the Charlotte Pilots in Out of the Park 24, that video game. It was a lot of fun. It's just Charlotte is a good city, and I like the state of North Carolina.
Right.
They need a baseball team, I think.
They got a
So
basketball team, they got a football team. I think it's time. Yeah, I think it's a good one. All right.
yeah,
My
bring
real
back our pilots.
Bring back the pilots. My realistic one is Nashville. And I think it's going to happen because they are the closest. But I think that Nashville is a good region. They obviously got a cool local culture with all the country music and the rock and roll and everything like that. I think Tennessee, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, Cincinnati, St. Louis, Kansas City, it's just smack dab right in that area. It's good for either American League or National League, really. I think it's just a great location, great vibes. I think the ownership group is serious, the Music City Baseball Group. Nashville Stars is kind of a generic name, but I mean, if
Yeah.
their branding kind of updates a little bit, I'm kind of in. I think I'm in.
Yeah, yeah. The Nashville barbecue
Barbecue
uh
ribs.
the the Nashville baby back ribs, something.
Yeah. So, all right. Who is your dream? I mean, it sounded like Charlotte was, but I guess there is a little realism to it because it is a major U.S. city. But who is your dream location?
I guess my dream is for Russell Wilson to get back into baseball. So I went with Portland, even though their renderings don't have a dome or a roof. They should.
It
I agree
should.
with you there. I
Yeah.
just I know Portland might be a boring idea, but I it's not boring to me if Russell Wilson is going to be there. I hope Russell Wilson would be like the Jerry Jones of Major League Baseball. That would
So,
be amazing.
so the Portland franchise is contingent on Russell Wilson being the general manager
Yes,
owner. Okay.
that's the dreamer part of it. I mean, he's already an investor, so
Right.
maybe he could become like a majority owner somehow.
Right. So, okay. So, throwing out some rough ideas for mascots. What are you thinking for the Portland? They got the Portland Pickles there.
Yeah, I do like. I am a fan of the Portland Pickles. They offered me a position, an internship there,
Whoa.
last summer or for this upcoming summer, and I turned it down.
Wow. Hot
Unfortunately.
commodity.
Uh, yeah. Well, they weren't gonna pay me, and so it seems like they don't have enough money to fund a baseball team. So we need a new organization here in Portland.
Portland
Mascots.
Pilots.
We could just throw out Russell Wilson in a Subway jersey and call it a day. Or Russell Wilson in a bed saying, Portland,
We
we
got it.
got a deal.
Okay, well that shifted quick of dreaming to absolute delusion. My dreaming pick for the Trident Trio is bring the Expos back to Montreal. I think that it's been talked about a lot. I was talking to Avery about it. It seems like the Seattle Supersonics and the Expos have been rumored to come back forever. Maybe the Sonics are closer, but I also feel like the Expos are just as close, especially with the Rays just being potentially up for sale. Who knows? But I feel like Tampa Bay is a good spot for the Rays, but if all else fails, I would like to see them go up to Montreal. I think geographically, you got the two teams in Canada, the Red Sox, Orioles, and Yankees. Oh my Lord, I think they would love not to take the 4.5 hour, 5 hour flight to Tampa. Maybe they do, maybe they do. But they play in a dome in a really nice state, so I could not tell you. But yeah, bring the Montreal Expos back. I think that'd be a good one. There's hype
That'd be
there.
amazing.
There's
That'd
hype.
be so sick. I would buy merch day one also.
And bro's just waiting to leave the Mariner fan base for the new expansion.
No,
Like, I
no.
want to be a day one fan of a winning team.
Dude, you know for a fact that any of these expansion teams will start out with a higher payroll than the Mariners.
I think by default they would have to. I don't know. When's the last time an expansion drafts happened? Um, okay, minor league. We're gonna end with a minor league pick.
Okay. I don't know. I don't think this team or this city has a minor league team. But there is an empty stadium for them to play in, and we're gonna bring a minor league team to Oakland, baby. Bring
Oh,
baseball back to Oakland.
I don't know if that would be a good idea. I think it'd be a crisis. I mean, okay, wait, spin zone here. Do you think that Vegas could have an Oakland affiliate? So then
You're
Oakland is
reading
just
my mind. That should
The
be it.
city of Oakland's just used to watching shit baseball, but now they just get to watch minor league shit baseball.
Ex exactly, exactly. And they could still feel like attached to the organization. They could still root for the Las Vegas A's
Yeah,
without feeling super guilty.
that's a tough sell. That's tough. That's such an interesting one. That one caught me off
I mean,
guard, but I love it.
what are they gonna use the Coliseum for?
Well, there
They
is
don't
an
have
independent
anything.
team. There is an independent team using it right now, the Oakland Legends or something, Bay Area Legends.
Oh, upgrade them to be a minor league affiliate.
Sure, sure. Okay, well, my pick, and it's a little biased because I this is where I'm currently residing, but you can't tell me that you can't put a team in Boise. I mean, are you kidding me?
Boise.
They got the Boise Hawks. They were originally the Colorado Rockies single A affiliate, but then when COVID, the minor league restructuring, now it's just a college ball team. But dude, I'm telling you, this area loves its Broncos. It loves its Idaho Steelheads, and I couldn't think of a more perfect setting in the summer of Boise and Meridian, Idaho, right off that raceway. You have that ballpark there, you spruce it up a little bit, you get it up to MILB standards, and you got a devout fan base. Make the grass blue. How about it? We just go
Whoa.
full Boise State. They don't have a baseball team right now, but I'm serious. You make this minor league team, all of a sudden you got Boise State baseball back. I mean, I'm seeing joint partnership here.
Wow. Wow. You
It's almost
mentioned
like I've been thinking about this for a while.
you could be the GM.
I could. I would love to. I love this area, but there's no baseball for me to work. Because similar to the Pickles, the Hawks have four full-time employees, and they don't pay really anything, and they don't play a full schedule. And I think this city is growing. Actually, just down in Salt Lake last weekend to see the Jazz. Boise has a larger population than Salt Lake City. So what are we doing?
Yeah, low key big, low key big.
Low key big. So all right, that
You
wraps up.
mentioned, you
Oh.
mentioned that you would need to build a stadium that's up to MILB standards. I think my Oakland team might have to do that too.
I think they might have to spruce up the Coliseum. So I don't think that'll happen because they would need to invest money into actually putting in a good venue up. But all right, that wraps up our Trident Trio. We're gonna have a good episode for you next week. We're gonna be doing profiles for division opponents. Avery and I split up the AL West, two teams apiece. So we will give you full breakdowns of each team before opening day. I have the Athletics, so I'll get a little bit more recency since we open up with them. But other than that, we're going to do a general league projections, predictions, standings, awards, playoffs, everything like that to get you hyped up for next Thursday. Are you kidding me? It's kind of come up
Yeah,
quick. Um,
I can't wait.
I am stoked. Let's just pray for the next 7, 8 days. No one else gets hurt, and we just kind of get to opening day with a semi-healthy roster, missing potentially just Kirby, maybe Mitch Garver, or just the Mitches in general. But Avery, anything else you want to add before this signs off?
Um, Yoan Moncada, baby. That's all I.
Just
That's a nice preview for next week. Yoan Moncada.
He's going to have an Austin Shenton type glaze of Yoan Moncada, who I did want in the offseason. But all right, I'd really appreciate everybody watching our first two episodes and this one. If you just want to go ahead and obviously subscribe on YouTube, hit the share button on Spotify, put it on your story, just send it to some people. We put a lot of work into this and we're having a lot of fun. I could see us having a lot of fun together this season. I mean, we just started in the off season, but I think during the season, this podcast is going to look a lot different and there's going to be lots to talk about. So, with that being said, we will see you for opening week. Peace out.